right, y'all. Welcome back to the Shark Bacon Podcast. We are super happy to have you this week. Today is a special day. We are talking about One Piece, okay? And specifically, we're talking about the emotional moments in One Piece. No, we're talking about the emotional moments in One Piece, all right? We're talking about the multiple times, the 25 times in this anime that have made me bawl like a baby, have made me cry my eyes out, have made me create a river in my family room, okay? Because this is an emotional show. You know, a lot of people think it's pirates, it's a gum boy. It's more than that. It's more than that. Y'all know it's more than that. Real fans know that this is a work of art, and it is so packed with emotion. It's just so good, okay? All right, so we're going to hop right into it. A little spoiler warning, all right? We will be going over, like, the entire show. You know, I have something from almost every arc in here that has made me cry. So, if you are not caught up in One Piece, you should not watch this. Unless you like spoilers. If you love spoilers, then watch this. You know, me, myself, I am caught up to the Wano arc. I'm kind of right in the middle of it. I'm kind of finishing watching it. I like to watch dub. I know. Okay. I'm not pure. I'm not a subber. But I do like to watch a dub. So I'm kind of at like episode 1000. And, you know, it has just been the best show I have ever watched. And I can't wait to read the manga and watch it through again, but these are the top 25 moments in One Piece that have made me bawl. Alright, starting off with number 25. Okay, and kind of as I talk about them, I'll kind of explain why they made me cry, you know, because some of them are sad, some of them are just so hype that it, you know, brings a tear to your eye. You know, it's like, if you've ever seen Attack on Titan, spoiler, when Erwin is giving his final speech, you know, that doesn't make me cry because it's sad. It makes me cry because Erwin is so cool that he's marching to death. I think it's just cool. So, like, there's certain times that I cried from that. There's certain times that I cried from sadness. But I did cry. These are the moments that made me do it. So, number 25 is in Fishman Island arc. You know, a lot of people hate this arc. A lot of people say, oh, yo, this is mid. There's no mid piece, bro. There is no mid piece. There's nothing bad in the show. Anyways, but in Fishman Island, there's this big boat. It's called the Noah. And it's falling from the ocean. And it's about to hit Fishman Island and destroy it. And Luffy is called upon to just punch the crap out of that thing. Boom, 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 boom. Grizzly Magnum. And he's doing his, you know, Red Hawk shot. And he's doing his Gatling. And he's just destroying this boat. It's awesome. And he kind of takes a lot of damage, and he's super exhausted. And when he gets to the ground, he's lost so much blood. He's you know, dying. And so somebody has to give him blood. But there's kind of this, you know, like if you've seen it, there's the fishmen and the humans. They don't really jive. They don't really mix. And so, you know, these fishmen who have the right blood type to give to Luffy are just hesitant to. They even after he just saved them, even after he just saved their world, they're hesitant to give him the blood, which is very sad. It kind of got me in an emotional mood. It was like, help the guy who just helped you. He just saved your butt, right? Like, Luffy is so selfless. And that's a theme you'll see. Just Luffy's selflessness makes me super emotional. So I'm already in an emotional state. And then the goat. And then this guy, Jinbei, lays down next to Luffy. And he donates his blood to Luffy. He gives Luffy his blood, even though he's a fishman. And I just started bawling. I was like, dang, Jinbei, you're a real one for that, okay? Because nobody else was doing it. Nobody else was giving Luffy the recognition that he deserved, or being kind after he just saved them, or doing anything for him. But Jinbei, who's a real one, gave it to him. All right, hopping into number 24. This one is one that made me bawl like a baby. And I don't know why, okay? I know it's emotional. I know that a lot of people think it's emotional, but it's also not really sad. It's another happy moment. This one comes at the end of the Alabasta arc. If you've seen that, that is probably the best of the first saga of One Piece, right? It's a culmination of everything that's been leading up. It's super hype. Luffy just defeated Crocodile. Alabasta's, you know, at peace. And Vivi, who has been with the Straw Hats through this journey, has to choose to either go with the Straw Hats and be part of the crew, or stay in Alabasta and take up her rightful place as the queen, as the princess. And she, is having a really tough time with that. And that is tough because we have grown to love Vivi so much. At the end, she skips the speech that she's going to give to the people. She runs to the shoreline and she sees the Straw Hats leaving. And the Straw Hats lift their hands like this. And on every single one of their wrists is an X, which is what they had put, as part of their mission to show that they were crew, to show that they were the real Straw Hats. And it is the most emotional scene. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. It's just triumphant. It's triumphant, and it is beautiful, and it is like unity. You kind of cry, and you're gonna miss Vivi, and it's kind of like this end of this beautiful era of One Piece, and it's just a perfect moment. Number 23. People are gonna crucify me. People are gonna be like, why is this so low on your list? For some people, this could be number 1. For me, it's 23. I'll explain why. I don't want to be, I don't want to be wrecked, okay? But, big spoiler, Luffy's brother, Ace, dies. And it is sad, bruh. Now, let me say this. This is one of the best arcs in all of One Piece. Is in Marineford when Ace dies. What happens is Luffy is trying desperately to get to his brother. There's so many hype moments that lead up to it, especially when he grabs the mast, falls in, fights the 3 admirals. He goes up, he saves Ace, they get out, and as they're leaving, Akainu, who is the leader of the admirals, the lava guy, Punch, he just insults Whitebeard, and Ace can't take it, so he turns around, and, he starts fighting Akainu, and then Akainu's about to kill Luffy, so Ace jumps in front of him. Donut. Rengoku level donut, bro. They could be brothers, Rengoku and Ace. And it is sad. It's so sad because Ace gets punched through the stomach and dies in Luffy's arms. And Luffy can't do anything about it. After everything he had just done to save his brother, it all comes to an end. Now, here's the reason it's kind of low on my list, alright? I knew it was coming because I accidentally watched the title sequence of One Piece for that episode, and it says Fire Fist Ace dies on the battlefield, so I kind of knew it was coming, and I was like, what? And I didn't get to spend a lot of time with Ace. The time that I did get to spend with him was wonderful, and it made me love him, but I just didn't get to develop that much of a connection with the character, so it's a little low. But it was super sad, and especially for Luffy, who can't do anything about it after he had just gone through hell and back to get his brother. And so, it is super sad. I did cry because I love Ace, but it's kind of low because I didn't have that connection with him. So, don't kill me. Don't come after me. But that's why it's number 23. Number 22 is another death, but it's a sadder death. It's a sadder death than Ace, because this one we had a connection with this character. And this character, I don't know how One Piece does it. It makes you care about something that's not even a human. It was the boat, okay? When the Going Merry saves the Straw Hats in Enies Lobby, to the water! They all are saved by the Merry. It musters up enough strength to save them, and then it dies. The Merry dies, and everyone is standing there watching it burn and fall into the sea. And Usopp, this was his boat, and this was Luffy's, this was his boat. And so it was just emotional to see all the connection that the characters had with the ship. It really was sad because, the ship had been through everything. It had gone to the sky. It had been to, Thriller Bark, and it had gone everywhere, everywhere they had been. And so it had sustained them, and it had carried them that far. And just knowing that, you already kind of knew that it was going to happen in Water 7 when they were saying, she can't go any further. And then it defies expectation. It saves them. And that's its final act. And it is just so beautiful. If you didn't cry during that part, you're actually a monster. For real. That is such a sad part. Truth be told, I like the Thousand Sunny more, though. So it's very sad, but I do love the Thousand Sunny. All right, number 21, y'all. This one, people are going to ask, why did this make you cry? All right. One of the best fights in all of One Piece, if not the best fight, is the 20 episode long fight between Katakuri and Luffy. Now, this series of episodes, is so fun to watch because Luffy has met his match. He has met somebody that is just better with observation haki than he could ever imagine. He's just so good at fighting. He's good with haki. He's just seems so unbeatable. But through the fight, we begin to like Katakuri. I don't know if y'all did, but I began to just fall in love with Katakuri. Like, he's cool. You know, the moment where he builds his donut house and we see like his big jaw and he's like, you know, he's embarrassed. It's like, oh, I'm developing like a connection with that character more than he's just a villain. He's super cool. And then his little sister, shaped like a bean. I can't even remember. I think it's Charlotte something. I can't remember her name. Well, of course it's Charlotte something. They all are. But I can't remember her name. But she's shaped like a bean and she has a bazooka. She shoots Luffy in the leg. Luffy loses all power to fight and he gets stabbed by Katakuri's spear. But Katakuri notices it and he's like, yo, what the flip? Like, that shouldn't have happened and that's unfair. And so he takes his trident and he stabs himself through the stomach. And I don't know why, but I started crying my eyes out. I'm like, Katakuri, you are a real one for that, bro. You are fair and just, and you know what it's he's like Luffy, you know. He doesn't want it the easy way. He wants to do it right, and he wants you know, fair fight. He wants the challenge. And so it made me cry to just feel like, yo, this guy understands what's going on. And Luffy respected him for that, and Katakuri respected Luffy. 20, it's in the very beginning of the show. Our boy, Red Hair Shanks, gives Luffy his hat. Sticks it on his head like this. Luffy's a sobbing mess because what had just happened was Shanks lost his arm, sacrificed his arm for Luffy and for the new generation of pirates. And he gives him his hat and he says, you know, like, I don't want to see you again until you're ready to face me and like you can give this back to me. All right? And that it's just so emotional. It's so sad because Shanks, how are you not sad for Shanks? Shanks just lost his arm, okay? He was probably the best pirate in the world, and he lost his arm for Luffy. Luffy's emotional. We're emotional for Shanks. And he gives him the hat, the most special thing that he has, which we see later becomes Luffy's most cherished gift. Number 19, Pedro. It's going to be Pedro, guys. It's going to be Pedro's sacrifice in Whole Cake Island. Now, this one did me dirty twice, okay? Because Pedro sacrifices himself at the top of the tower when Brook is fighting Big Mom and everyone's chasing him. He blows himself up. I think he dies. I'm already emotional. And so Pedro is like, I'm going to sacrifice my life for the Straw Hats because I know that they are the ones that Goldie Roger was talking about. I know that this is the new generation that will find the One Piece, that will bring peace to the world, that will make everything right, find the lost history. So Pedro is sure of this. He dies. Turns out he didn't die, okay? Then we get through the forest, and they get to the boat. He sacrifices himself yet again to break the Straw Hats ship free, to break the Thousand Sunny free so they can go. And it's so sad because we thought they can't kill him twice, and they do, and I'm just so torn up about it. It hurts me deep inside my heart to watch that. Not to mention that the Straw Hat ship gets away, but then it's still chased, and it's still undergoing all this siege from Big Mom and from all the kids and everything, and it's like his sacrifice did so much in that moment, but there's still so much going on. It just felt like it didn't need to happen, and it broke my heart that it happened, and I cried because I like Pedro. Number 18. People are going to say, why is this so high on the list, bro? Because it's emotional. Okay? That's a theme. It's emotional. Luffy ringing the bell in Skypiea. That's number 18. Luffy goes up to Skypiea after talking to Mont Blanc, Chestnut Head. He promises that he will ring that bell that he will tell, Chestnut Head and the Monkey Brothers down on Jaya that the Sky Islands are real. He rings the bell, and when he rings the bell, my eyes just streams, and everyone down on the ground is rejoicing, and they're just like, yes, it's real. And I love that. I love Luffy's ability to defeat the bad guy, but also to complete like this side quest to share this with the descendant of Nolan, to share it with the Chestnut guy. I just love that in every mission that Luffy does, in every place that he goes, he's blessing somebody, he's making somebody's life better. And in this case, it was for Chestnut Head. All right, y'all. Number 17. Sad. This might be the single saddest backstory ever written for a character, and this comes in the Dressrosa arc. We meet this man dressed as a baby in a pink bib and a pink bonnet and a binky, and we're like, who is this crazy guy? Well, Senor Pink has the saddest backstory of all time. In the backstory that we see that he fell in love with a woman. She didn't like pirates, but he wanted to love her. He still had to be a pirate. He still had to take care of her. They have a child. And the child, bad things happen. She finds out that he's a pirate. She doesn't love anymore. She takes everything away. She gets hit in this lightning storm, and she forgets everything. And she loses the baby. And all that's left now is her, and her mind is gone, and she can't remember anything, and she just doesn't have the cognition. So he visits her, and she doesn't smile, and she doesn't do anything, and he visits her every day. And one day he dresses up as a baby, and he goes and visits her, and she smiles. And from that point on, he dresses a baby every time. How can Oda make us love a guy dressed as a baby? It's just crazy that made me cry. But it did, because he does that out of love. And I want love. Don't we all? Don't we all want love? All right, number 16. Kind of early on in the show, Luffy is visiting Drum Island. Our boy Tony Chopper's there. And on this island, he has to climb one of the Drum Mountains to get to the castle, to Dr. Kureha's castle at the top. And so he's climbing the mountain. Sanji is knocked out, and Nami is super sick. So Nami's tied to his back. Luffy's in flip-flop shorts and bare hands, bare feet, right? He puts Sanji in his mouth like this, holds onto his shirt in his mouth, starts climbing the mountain. Starts climbing the mountain with Sanji in his mouth and Nami on his back. And as he climbs up the mountain, the elements, the snow, it is just emotional, bro. It's like Luffy's doing this for his crew. He gets kind of close to the top, slides down. Blood streaks on the mountain. Like, you can see the blood that just came off of his hands. You can see the pain that he's in. He gets to the top. He's literally almost dying. And what does he say at the top that makes me just cry my ass out? He says, no, take care of them first. And he makes sure that his crew is taken care of before him. I was already crying when I saw the blood come off his hands, but when he said that, I was a wreck. Number 15, pivot away from Luffy to his right-hand man, Zoro. Okay, this is an interesting one because this was just a short moment at the very end of an episode. And if you know what episode I'm talking about, you know what happens. Nothing happened. Nothing happened, bro. After Luffy has expended all of his energy fighting Kuma, and there's just nothing left in him, and his crew is down, and it's all over, Zoro and Sanji are there, and, they are both ready to take this sacrifice of all the pain that their captain has ever felt in that fight and take it into themselves. And I love that. I love that they're both ready, Sanji and Zoro. But Zoro knocks down Sanji and is ready to take it. And so he says, can I go off somewhere? And he takes the pain, and you just see it. You just through his body, right? And it's horrible. And then Sanji gets up, he goes to look for Zoro, and when he comes around the corner, Zoro is just covered in blood. You can see the massacre that has happened around him, just the amount of pain he's gone through. Still standing there, the GOAT. Sanji says, "What happened here?" Zoro says, "Nothing happened." Right? Nothing at all. And it's just, oh! Oda is just a genius because he just delivers time and time and time again. 14 comes in what people probably consider the perfect arc of One Piece. And it also could maybe be considered the most emotional arc. And this is in Eni's lobby. So 14 is at the end when Luffy is fighting Rob Lucci, the leopard, the Zoan type user, okay? And he's fighting him, and he is getting wrecked, okay? He just doesn't have that strength yet. He's getting wrecked. And Luffy makes a promise. And he says to Rob Lucci, "I will not fall one more time. Like, I will not fall again. My back will not touch the ground." And Rob Lucci hits him, and he leans back like this. His back is almost touching the ground. He whips back up, and for the first time in the series, we see the Gum Gum Gatling. Bah, 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 bah. And he just wrecks him and puts him through the wall, okay? That one's cool. All right, that was awesome. And that made me emotional because he says, "I will not fall again." He's doing everything he can to save Robin at that point. It just shows what type of captain Luffy is. He's the captain that will do anything for his crew. Even if it seems physically impossible for him, he will find a way. He will not let his back touch the ground again. 13, back to Mosshead, our boy Zoro. All right? Number 13 comes towards the very beginning of the series at the Baratier arc. One of the best characters in One Piece shows up, Dracula Mihawk. Zoro's about to die. He's about to get beaten, and he turns his chest to him and he says, like, "I will not take wounds on my back," which is awesome, which is cool of Zoro. So Mihawk respects him, brings out his giant sword, and slashes him, okay? And Zoro loses. And Zoro is laying on the boat, and he sticks his hand in the air, and he holds his sword and he says, "I will never lose again. I promise I will never lose again. Is that all right with you, King of the Pirates?" This promise just made me cry because we don't see Zoro cry. We don't see Zoro's emotion. And already, Zoro, this is like one of 3 times he cries in the show. I think it makes a lot of people emotional, because we don't see that side of Zoro. And so when we see it, it's just amazing. Number 12, I cried because somebody else cried and somebody had pent up a lot of emotion, and I was just happy to see it come out, okay? Eni's lobby, Luffy says to Robin, "Tell me you want to live," right? And she can't say that. She doesn't think that she deserves to live. She thinks that everywhere she goes, she's, wrecks something, or she just brings death, she just brings sadness. And she screams out to Luffy, "I want to live." And she's crying her eyes out, and she says, "I want to live!" Right? And it's just the best moment. It's just like, okay, everything that they're fighting for is finally realized that, yes, they are going to save Robin, and she wants to be part of the crew again. When she leaves the crew, you are so sad, and you are so confused, and when she says, "I want to live," you just feel a weight come off her shoulders, and you feel a weight come off your shoulders, and you are happy for her, and so you just let it out, and you just weep, bro. You just weep. Just outside our top 10, honorable mention of the top 10, number 11. This comes from my very favorite arc in One Piece. Now, this arc is Impel Down. I think this is the most perfectly written arc in the entire story. I think Luffy being alone and trying to save his brother and trying to get to Ace, it just has so much weight and it just has so much meaning in it, and it's just so fun. Like everything about him going down these, these different floors. Well, on one of these floors, he meets Mr. 2, which is Bon Clay or Bon-chan. Bon-chan does everything to help Luffy. It's crazy. Like, Luffy gets stuck in all these different positions throughout, and through every step of the way, Mr. 2 is there to be by his side, to be like his help. The part that makes you cry is Luffy has to go through his surgery from Ivankov after, taking the poison of Magellan. And Mr. 2 stands outside the door of the operation room. And when everybody thinks it's impossible and that Luffy's not going to make it, that he will die, Mr. 2 is outside the door, standing through the night, through the many hours, just screaming at the top of his lungs, "I believe!" And just like giving Luffy the motivation. And it's what you want to do, and Mr. 2 is doing it. And if you're not crying at that moment, you're crazy, because he is crying his eyes out. He is yelling at the top of his lungs for hours and hours, being with Luffy. And it just shows empathy, bro. It just shows brotherhood. It's so good. All right, number 10. This is top 10, y'all. This is top 10. This is where it gets good, okay? Top 10 is Sanji's backstory with Zeph. Being stuck on a rock, having no food, starving for 70-something days, right? And he goes over to Zeph, and he's like, "Give me your food, old man." Rips open the bag. There's nothing but gold in there. And Zeph has been starving that entire time and has eaten his leg, okay? That's crazy. You're emotional at that point. You're like, why would this old guy save Sanji? Why would he give Sanji all the food? Why wouldn't he just be the pirate that he is? But the part that makes you cry is when Sanji joins the crew, and when he is leaving the restaurant, the Barate, he turns around back to the cooks and back to Zeph. He kneels down and he thanks him, and he's emotional, and he's on his knees and he's saying, "Thank you, I owe you my life." They're always like kind of fighting with each other, and so seeing that difference, the Sanji's appreciation to Zeph, it's like, yes, okay, Sanji, he did. He gave you everything, and to show that you love him, and for him to show you that he loves you in your own special way, it's just beautiful. Number 9 comes in Marineford, y'all. Number 9 comes with the big boy himself, Whitebeard. This moment is just so hype, and it is just so sad. And so Whitebeard makes his final stand. Whitebeard takes like a huge cannon to the chest. He takes like it's like something 100 like wounds, and like all these like cuts and spear wounds and bullets and cannonballs, and he's still standing. There was not a single scar on his back. He did not run away from that fight. And it's just so cool. It's just so cool that you have to cry. You have to feel sad because somebody that cool, you want more of them in the story. Number 8 is a special place in my heart, okay? Once again, Goat Jinbei has done it again, okay? There's a part where Luffy is extremely sad, alright? He has just lost everything you can imagine. And he is super depressed, and he has forgotten his reason for living. He's forgotten his reason to go on. His brother is dead. He's lost his crew, and he's lost his brother, and he doesn't know what to do. And he's just stuck. And Jinbei, on this island, grabs him by the neck, hits him against a rock. He's saying all this to Jinbei, and he says, like, you need to remember what you have to live for. And you see Luffy's eyes, and he starts crying, and he just says, his nakama, his crew, his friends. And he starts thinking of his friends that he's met along the way. And you can just see, like, Luffy remembering, even after all the trauma that he's been through, what he has to live for. And that's all thanks to Jinbei. Number 7, it had to be up here, guys, and that is Tony Chopper's backstory. The part that makes me cry, the part that makes me super emotional. Dr. Hero Luke is dying, and Chopper thinks he can save him. So he goes to like this ingredient book. He finds the mushroom that's supposed to cure his disease, but it's actually a poisonous mushroom that will kill him. But he brings the mushroom back to Dr. Hero Luke, And you just see his little black guy and all he's been beat up, and he just gives the mushroom to Dr. Hiraluk, and Dr. Hiraluk knows what that mushroom is going to do. He knows it's going to kill him. He takes it and he eats it just to make Chopper feel good, like he's done something good, even though Chopper had just sealed his fate, just had sealed his death. When I see little baby Chopper beat up, I can't handle it. It's sad. Number 6 is Luffy on Whole Cake Island. Luffy has a mission when he goes to Whole Cake Island, alright? He is not going to eat a single thing of food unless it is cooked by Sanji. And he goes through so much, and he is depleted of energy, and everyone is attacking him. And he meets Sanji, finally finds him, and Sanji just fights him, beats him, and Luffy won't fight back. He won't fight back, and it's like, Luffy, fight back. Please fight back. And he promises Sanji, after Sanji has just beat him into the ground, that he will not eat a single thing, and he will not move from that spot unless Sanji comes and rejoins the crew. And he waits, and he waits, and he waits, and Sanji is not coming, and it is just heartbreaking. Sanji's just to the point of tears because, he just feels bad for what he's doing to Luffy and the crew. But Luffy just loves his brother, and he just loves his crewmate and everything that he does. And he would sit there longer and longer, and Luffy would keep that promise. Number 5, top 5. This is the Tin Soldier, the little toy soldier's backstory from Dressrosa. Okay? It's super sad. I don't understand why it has to be so sad. This little soldier used to be the captain of the guard for the king, was turned into a soldier. He literally saw his wife murdered and held her in the rain, but she couldn't remember who he was because he was a toy. And he sees his wife die. He goes back to save his daughter, who is waiting for the mom to bring food. The mom never comes back. The mom dies. He goes. His daughter doesn't remember him. He takes care of his daughter the whole time. And his whole mission is just to love his family, but they don't remember who he is. And it's just horrible. It's the most perfect backstory if you want emotion, if you just want to feel something. So, Oda, you did amazing. You made me cry. Number 4 is in Kokoyashi Village. Nami's money has just been stolen by the Marines. She has no more money to release her village, and she can't beat Arlong. And Luffy is standing behind her. She throws dirt. Go away, you don't understand. And she's super mad at him. Didn't I tell you to go away? Luffy just stands there quiet. And then she turns to him over her shoulder and she says, with tears coming down her eyes, help me. Like desperate, help me. Without any words, Luffy walks up, puts the straw hat on her head, and yells to this guy, of course I will. Seeing her stab her arm, cry, and turn and just say helplessly, help me. And Luffy just being that guy, putting the hat, his most precious possession on her hat, showing that she is just as important to him as that. Number 3. Number 3 is, if you watch this episode with me, there's a waterworks show, okay? They're just popping out of my eyes like this. Robin's backstory, where she meets Jaguar D. Saul, and he teaches her how to laugh. And he laughs, Dada she. Don't judge my laugh, but she learns to laugh, and then everything happens. Ohara is destroyed. Clover is shot. Her mom is killed, and the Buster Call happens, and everything happens. Jaguar Saul dies. She literally went through the most traumatizing experience that anybody in the world could ever go through. She's, the last one, the only survivor. She's sent away on a little boat, and we just see her going, Dad, just trying to do what Saul had taught her, trying to laugh and trying to smile. And it's just heartbreaking because this little girl, she's the only survivor. Everything bad in the world is happening, and she's just trying to laugh, and she's trying to hold on to something. And it's so emotional, bro. Like, it is so, it's like by far, it is top tier sadness. I just can't imagine. Like, I can't imagine everything that I love being taken away from me, and I'm trying to laugh. It just hurts your heart for Robin. Alright, top 2, y'all. Number 2 happens on Sabaody Archipelago. And this is when Bartholomew Kuma shows up, and Luffy can do nothing to defeat him. They can do nothing. They are not strong enough. And he starts swiping and swatting Luffy's crew away, and they start disappearing, and Luffy thinks they're dying. And he can do nothing. He's just not strong enough. And for the first time in the series, we see Luffy like helpless. Like, he cannot do anything. And he puts his face in the ground, and he starts digging into the ground like a child. Like, you know, and we realize, oh my gosh, Luffy is just a boy. He's just a boy, and this is the saddest thing. All of his friends are gone, and what is he to do about it? He can't stop it from happening. It's so sad. I can't see Luffy in pain like that because it's the first time we've seen it, and it just tears you apart. All right, y'all. We did it. We got to number 1. Number 1 of 25 times that I cried. I think this is the definitive saddest part of One Piece, and I think that nothing comes close. It's like, here's this, and here's everything else. All right? It's so sad. We see it in the Dressrosa arc. We see Trafalgar Law's backstory. And what's so sad about it is there's this character named Corazon. He makes it his mission to save Law because Law has been given this disease, and Law doesn't even like Corazon, but Corazon is risking everything he has and who he is to save Law's life. And at the end, what happens is Doflamingo comes up, and he's hidden Law in a chest so that Doflamingo can't find him. And he's using his power to keep Law quiet. And Doflamingo kills his brother. And with his dying, like, as he's dying, he's holding his power to keep Law quiet and save his life. And he's giving him the fruit. And it's just the saddest moment. And Law realizes how much he has done for him. And it's just the saddest death I have ever witnessed in anything. I've never grown to love a character more and just have it ripped all away from me. His sacrifice is so great. And so that's my number 1 is Corazon's sacrifice. Guys, that was my 25 moments in One Piece that I bawled my eyes out during. You know, I would love to hear some of yours. I would love to hear what moments made you emotional, moments that made you hyped, times that you cried like a baby. If you've made it through the video, it means a lot. I love talking One Piece. I love talking about nerdy stuff. If you want to hear more of that, go check out some of the videos on our channel. And, you know, leave a like, subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Thank you guys for listening.